All right, my friends, welcome back to the garage. As you can see, we've got both bikes behind me here today. I was on the Ibex the other day. I was riding down this dirt road, having a grand old time, and I passed the trailhead for a single track trail. And my first thought was, I gotta come back here at some point on the CRF and have a go at this trail and just, rip up some technical gnarly stuff. Immediately after I had that thought, I sort of had this epiphany where I realized I have the capability now and the potential in my garage to effectively satisfy all of my two-wheeled adventuring desires. And what I mean is, as you know, I came back to motorcycling after a very long hiatus. I knew I wanted to get into some sort of adventure riding where I would be doing some on-road, some off-road, but I didn't know anything about the worlds of dual sport and adventure and enduro and all these other terms that people throw around. I just knew I wanted a bike that I could do lots of stuff on. Maybe I want to go on a multi-day moto camping trip. Maybe I want to try my luck at some dual track or forest roads and get a little bit dirty in the woods. And so I went out and I bought a Royal Enfield Himalayan 411. And for 5 years, I rode the ever-loving piss out of that bike. I put 12,000 miles on it. I took it all around the American West, multi-day trips, rode it up crazy technical stuff like Schnebley Hill Road, just went all over. Took it everywhere. I dropped it a lot. I dinged it up quite a few times. I had flat tires, all sorts of learning experiences on that bike. But I realized that I really enjoyed that type of riding. Now, I've always been sort of budget minded, and I say this because when I do find myself getting into a new hobby, I think, all right, let's go out and we'll get something good. We'll get something that's a good starter entry level piece of equipment to satisfy this hobby. We'll see if we like it, and if in 6 months or a year or 2 years or however many years later, we still find that same joy out of that particular hobby, then we've earned the right to sort of graduate up to the next level and trade in or trade up to that more premium thing. So the same thing goes with the motorcycles. I bought a Himalayan because it was a budget-oriented adventure bike. I knew it wasn't cheap or garbage, but I knew it also wasn't a $15,000 BMW, right? So that was part of the reason that I focused on that bike. And also because it's important for you all to understand that this is just a hobby for me. I work a full-time job that I love very much. I have a family. I like to go on really cool explorational trips around the world. I do all sorts of other adventuring. So this was never meant to be my full-time job. My intent was simply to keep that smile factor going and to explore the world on two wheels. All that is to say, I bought the Himalayan. I enjoyed it, and my thought process was, at some point I'll probably upgrade this to something a little nicer. But then something really interesting happened. Somewhat of a whim, I went out and I bought a Honda Trail 125 that I could just go nuts off-road on and just take it into the most ridiculous places, knowing that what's the worst that could happen? I tip it over and pick it back up again. It only weighs 200 pounds. So that's exactly what I did. I bought a Honda Trail 125 and I realized it's a lot of fun playing on technical stuff when you're on a bike that doesn't weigh 450 pounds. And so it was somewhere around that point, as I got a few months into owning that bike, that I realized my passions on two wheels were starting to diverge a little bit. And instead of this one sphere of adventure riding, I found myself gravitating towards two different spheres of exploration. One sphere being off-road, technical, just heading out into the woods behind my house and playing on steep terrain and rocky terrain. And the other half was multi-day trips on the Himalayan or more adventure style trips. And the more I played on that Trail 125, I realized that this is what was starting to happen with me. And I posted this video and said, I have this vision of my garage where someday in the future I will have a very capable, sort of lighter weight dual sport motorcycle, and then a very capable middleweight adventure bike. And I think that will be my sweet spot. My ultimate sort of garage vision is to have a small, very dirt-oriented, fun trail bike that I can also use as a commuter, but also a more capable adventure and or touring bike. And so about a year into that motorcycle, the Trail 125, I upgraded to this guy. What I realized was once you're on a proper dual sport, you can have all sorts of fun doing all sorts of crazy stuff, even if you're a relative novice like me. And what's amazing is I could hash up crazy ideas in my mind, like I want to go try to see if I can reach the geographic center of Arizona, look at a map and be like, ooh, I'm going to have to go down these crazy dirt roads that I have no street view of, no satellite imagery of. They could be really nasty. That's all right. I've got the CRF. Let's go check it out. Whereas if all I had was the Himalayan, I'd be thinking, oh, what if I get stuck, or what if I can't get out because the bike's too heavy, or I get in a situation that I can't get myself out of. This bike, I never had that feeling, because every place I've ever taken it, even as dicey as that Dead Man Mesa I went down trying to get to the geographic center, I knew I could still get myself out because the bike is light enough and nimble enough that it doesn't scare me. I don't have that anxiety. My problem was, on the other side of the coin, I still had the Himalayan. And I knew that I was starting to get frustrated with longer trips, because I'd take a road trip up to Colorado and find myself on a 300-mile stretch of highway, and I couldn't keep up with traffic. I couldn't get over the mountain passes without downshifting and people passing me and having to pull over and make way for trucks to go by me. And so I knew that I was going to eventually have to upgrade that bike as well. With that budget mindset though, I also didn't want to spend $14,000 on a Touareg or a Tenere or something like that. And so, as expected, I started looking at budget middleweight adventure bikes, looking at things like the new Himalayan and the Ibex. I did settle on the Ibex, and when I took my multi-day trip this summer on the Ibex, and I realized how good it performed compared to my old Himalayan, I realized that I've now got a bike that is a proper, capable adventure bike. And no, it's not a GS 1200, but it's got enough that it will get me anywhere I need to go on an adventure. And on this side of the coin, I've got this bike. So here we are. I have reached this point 5 years into my return in motorcycling, where I have these two spheres that do overlap in their Venn diagram to some extent. But I know that at any day, if I flip open a map and I say, I want to go check out this place, I've got the CRF. I want to go check out this other place, I've got the Ibex. And so I really have reached a sort of perfection. And I guess that's the point of this video that I want to relay to all of you out there is, I know there's debate about that unicorn bike, and maybe there is that bike that exists out there. Maybe it's the new KTM. I know a lot of people will take a dual sport like a DR650 and they'll basically kit it out to be an adventure bike, and that's certainly an option that I could have done. But I like having a minimalist dual sport and a mid-weight adventure bike. And here we are. And now I know that I can step out into my garage on any given Sunday, like today. I'm gonna go take a ride, and I've got the machines to do it, no matter what that ride might be. And for $10,000-ish rounded MSRPs, I have the capability split to do just about anything I want for less than the cost of a single Touareg or BMW. That is sort of the nirvana I have reached, and it's kind of a cool feeling to know that I've gotten there, that I'm at a point with my motorcycling where I'm very content. Yes, I'm still frustrated with CFMoto as a company, and who knows where I may end up 5 or 10 years from now. I imagine as I get older, I will slowly move more away from the technical stuff, but who knows? My take-home message is, don't leap in and buy that $15,000 bike because you test rode it once and you know this is the one. Take the time to explore, to experiment, see what gets you excited. And maybe that means you end up buying a couple bikes and you trade in a few bikes until you sort of get that sweet spot. But I really believe that it's worth it, because it's not just about the machine, it's about navigating where your passions are. And those passions evolve, right, over time. This is not going to be my final setup, I'm convinced of it. But for right now, it feels good to know that I've reached this sort of garage equilibrium where I'm quite content. That's where I find the joy, is having the capability to do both, and knowing that I can hop on this bike and go rip up some fun stuff, or I can hop on this bike and take a nice, beautiful ride through the countryside, and I've got everything I need. So that's it. I just wanted to tell you my story and to really impart what I can to all of you of take your time finding your own path and your own story. and find whatever configuration makes you the happiest and brings you the most joy. A little cliche, I know, but I guess I'm feeling a little sappy today. So anyway, that's gonna do it for me. So take care, everyone. Be safe out there. Let's show everybody some compassion and kindness along the way. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.